Hey everyone, it's Friday afternoon, and you know what that means. It's time for some grill and Torah. We are talking about the week of Purim. We will be celebrating that tomorrow because we are in a city that is not walled. And then on Monday, Jerusalem will be hopping. Not only Jerusalem, by the way. In fact, if Jews lived in Yericho, one second. Oh, hello there. Who are you?
Skeleton.
What?
A skeleton.
You're a skeleton? Why are you dressed up like a skeleton for?
Purim.
Okay, so, truth of the matter is, a Jewish holiday, we know the definition of a Jewish holiday is always, they came to kill us, we won, let's eat, right? So the question is, what is so special about the holiday of Purim that, we're not only eating, we're drinking, and generally in Judaism, drinking is not looked upon as a positive thing, except if it's on, Shabbat or holidays where we make a l'chaim and I drink a little bit of wine. And we know it does says that wine, samach levav enosh, wine will make a person happy, right? But generally, Judaism does not look upon ever getting drunk as a positive thing. We know that in the temple, for example, if someone drank wine in the temple, they weren't even allowed to go into the temple, according to several of the Mefarshim of the sages. Nadav Avihu, Aaron's two sons were actually killed in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, because according to some, they drank a little bit of wine before they went in, and is absolutely prohibited to go into the tabernacle or the temple when you are drunk. So what is the issue about this holiday of Purim? Now, I heard a really amazing shiur by one of the people who are, up for the job. They're one of the rabbis who are working on perhaps becoming the rabbi of the shul that I go to. I heard a really, really amazing shiur last week from him. He gave it in the shul. And the question he was asking was a really interesting one. It says that by Mount Sinai, the nation of Israel, Am Yisrael were under Har Sinai, and it says that a Kadosh Baruch Hu lifted up the mountain Har Kegigit, lifted up the mountain like a roof over our heads and said, if you accept the Torah that I'm giving you, great, and if not, I will drop this mountain on your heads and your death will be here today. So the question was asked, that is not exactly, we all know that there's a famous medrash that we say that Bnei Yisrael, when we're offered the Torah from God, we said, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do and then we will listen. In other words, we will first do, we won't ask questions, and then we'll learn about it. We're praised for that many times, for the fact that we didn't ask questions, although Judaism is all about questions. But we were praised for it. But now that we learn that it says that Kadosh Baruch Hu, that God lifted up the mountain like a mountain over our heads, like a roof over our heads, and said, listen, if you don't accept the Torah, I'm going to kill you right here. Well, where's the big, what credit do we deserve now? I mean, we really had no choice. He was going to kill us, right? Well, before I get to the answer, good morning, Sandy, how are you? Good morning, everyone. Who's in the house? Let's see. Who is in the house? Let's see. Where are you from? Let's see what we got here on Facebook Live. So I'm cooking for, we got some steaks. We got some paragiot. I don't know how to say it. Maybe chicken breast and hot dogs on top. So who's in the house? Let's see. And where are you from? Name and location, please. All right. So before we get going, the question is, we were asking about Har Sinai. If God forced us to accept the Torah, then what is the big deal that we said we will act and then we'll learn? I mean, our life was on the line. It's almost like a gun was put to our heads. Not almost, exactly. If the mountain was brought up on top of our heads like a roof, and God said, you either accept the Torah, I kill you right here, it's not really that big of a deal that we accepted it right away. I mean, we really didn't have a choice. So the Jewish sages and Mefarshim say that during Purim, on the holiday of Purim, we accepted the Torah by choice. And there's a passage in the Megillah that Kiblu, that we accepted what we already were commanded to do, and we accepted the Torah by choice by Purim. All right, let's see here. Eli Hutcherson in Jerusalem, Rehov Mitudela, awesome. Sandy Kaufman is here from Arkansas. Fantastic. Mary is here from the UK. Welcome, Mary. El Branch from Reut. Awesome. Great. All right. So why is Purim really, it's such an odd holiday? Because the truth of the matter is, there's really no miracles. There's nothing really happened, If we look at even at Hanukkah, we know that at Hanukkah, at least we had that, that miracle of the supernatural miracle of the candles being lit for 8 days. Shalom, Ari Yum Yum looks delicious. Well, it is good. Joy Erdel, how you doing, Vancouver? Fantastic. Well, I was almost in Vancouver this trip. Hopefully next time I will definitely make it to Vancouver. We got to work on that. Anyway, so the question we're asking right now is, why is Purim such a weird holiday? In other words, like I said, Judaism does not look at getting drunk ever as a positive thing. And all of a sudden comes this holiday, and we're supposed to get drunk, like lose control, which Judaism is like an absolute no-no. We're never supposed to lose control in Judaism. That's exactly what Judaism is about. We have the commandments to keep us in control. So what is this holiday all about? 1. 2, the word Purim, right? And we know that we have a very holy holiday called Yom Kippurim, right? So Yom Kippurim, Kami, shalom y'all, Texas in the house, Lubbock in the house. So we know that Yom Kippur is one of the Jewish holiest day of the Jewish year. So, and that's called Yom Kippurim, the day like Purim, as if Purim is a more holier day. So what is the story with this Purim? And like I said, there were no holidays. Hey Jennifer, what's going on? By the way, everybody listen up. Well, I don't know, Jennifer, should I tell everyone or not? You gotta let me know. You let me know, and I'll publish. You know what I'll publish. Anyway, there were no holidays on Purim, right? And the interesting thing, right? People talk about Esther and Achashverosh and Mordechai, and things happened. You know how many years Purim happened over? 9 years. 9 years. Hey Pinto, what's going on? 9 years. The miracle. You don't call it a miracle. And we're talking about a political struggle. That's all. Achashverosh was the king. He had this wife who didn't want to listen to his decree because the decree wasn't exactly the best decree in the world. He wanted her to come out dancing naked. She said no to the king, and he killed her. And then went searching for another queen, and found this Queen Esther from the Jewish nation, who was an orphan. And they pick her, and she goes in, and Mordechai, her uncle, says to her, "Do not tell them what nation you're from." So she lives in a palace, and yes? Jennifer, is that a yes? I want to confirm with you. Tell me yes one more time, then I'm doing it. I'll let everyone know what's coming up. And she goes into the palace, and Mordechai says, "Don't tell her that you're Jewish," right? Which is really not Jewish. You're supposed to be proud of that, right? And she becomes somehow the favorite of the king, and the king is losing control a little bit. And then his second in command, Haman, comes in, and he plans to kill all the Jews on a real genocide. And some crazy coincidence, kacha, whatever you want to call it, the queen Esther comes in, tells him, invites them for a party twice, 3 times. Right, of course, Sasha. Okay, so if the miracle is how was she picked? I mean, great. First of all, she was beautiful. The Gemara said she was beautiful. So, I don't know. Thanks, Nana. So, 9 years. So what is the big deal? This was a political victory. What's the big deal? What are we celebrating like crazy for? So what happened was, on Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, we got the Torah, so we got it in a miraculous way, right? There was fire and brimstone, and we heard the voice of Kadosh Baruch Hu, heard the voice of God. No big deal really. If you heard the voice of God, would you say no? So that was by miracle, and it was by the big bang kind of thing, right? Everybody saw it. Whoa, right? That's not a choice. That's not a choice at all. That's there's no challenge of belief there. Right? You see a miracle in God, you're not going to say, well, I don't believe that. That's not a miracle, but that's not how we survive. What happens is we are commanded to see the miracle in everything in life, not just by the big, supernatural things. An interesting thing in Shemona Esrei, every day when we say, by the way, everyone please share the video, invite some friends, let's get some more people here. Every day when we pray 3 times a day, so we have the silent prayer of the Amidah, the 19 brachas of the Amidah. And what's interesting, one of the brachas we talk about, it's the bracha of reincarnation, or at the time of the Mashiach, that the dead are becoming back alive. Lexi! And, that's a supernatural miracle when people are going to be buried for years and will come back alive. And by the way, just a little piece of information is that the time of Mashiach, so the people who are buried on Mount of Olives, which is the oldest Jewish active cemetery in Jerusalem, in the world, but it's located in Jerusalem. people are buried with their feet facing the Temple Mount. Why? Because when Mashiach comes and there'll be the resurrection of the dead will stand up and they'll already be facing the Temple Mount. So that's just an interesting piece of information that you might not have known. But the issue is that we, in that blessing in Shemona Esrei of Tchiat HaMetim, of resurrecting the dead at the time of Mashiach, so that is a supernatural, insane miracle, right? In that same bracha, in that same blessing, we talk about the blessing of rain. The same bracha that we talk about the resurrecting of the dead, we praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we praise God for Mashiva Ruach Muda Geshem, for the one who's responsible for rain. And you gotta, what is rain, which is a natural event, have to do with Tchiat HaMetim, which is a supernatural, insane event. Thanks, Sam. Shabbat Shalom and happy Purim to you as well. So the answer given by the Abar Dahum is that just like we look at Tchiat HaMetim, the resurrecting of the dead, as something miraculous, we have to look at simple rain as being miraculous. Now, what's harder? What's harder? What's easier to appreciate? Let's put it that way, right? It's much easier to appreciate a supernatural miracle, right? You know, when your parents or your friends give you a brand new car or buy you a house or something humongous, you're going to be saying thank you for the rest, for I don't know how long, right? You're going to be with emotion. Thank you so much, so much. But what if your spouse or your children or anyone else cook you dinner, or I don't know, take the smallest things that happens, right? So how appreciative are you of that? Well, not so much, right? That's no big deal. So that is what's going on in Har Sinai. It was fire, it was brimstone. What are you going to say? I don't believe that. I'm looking at it right there, right? You couldn't say, there's no appreciation really. It's just, okay, well, there's God, I'm accepting it. But by Purim, right? By Purim, there's no miracle going on here. It's all natural, right? You can make a mistake by saying that it's just a political victory. Very simple, right? There was a political struggle. You had the second in command, right? And it happened all over the world, not just with in Achashverosh's land. It happened all over the world, right? So it was a political struggle, and Esther won. Big deal. Big deal. Well, there is the big deal, and that is exactly the point. The point is with the little things in life. The point is when it takes 9 years, and you got to remember, how does the Megillah start out? How does the book that we're going to read on Purim start out? With two anonymous people who were working in the kingdom, Bigtan V'Teresh, and they plotted to kill the king, right? And Mordechai spoils their plot and reports them, and they get hung. Wonderful. 9 years later, right? I'll show you what I'm cooking in a second here. 9 years later, Achashverosh, the king, is like in a little bit of an uproar. He sees that his queen is inviting his first in command, Haman. He keeps on inviting him to parties. Like, he's getting a little suspicious, right? And he's sitting in bed and saying, I'm a little nervous about my kingdom now, what it's going to be. And he says, give me the book and see who did something good for me and I didn't repay them. And who comes up? Mordechai comes up. 9 years before, he spoiled these assassins' plans, and he told the king, and so on and so forth. So you could say, well, no big deal, but only someone who has their eye on the ball, only someone who understands that God is really in control of everything can connect the dots here, right? Most people 9 years ago, who would connect any dots? Who would say, oh, nothing. So anyway, that's what I'm cooking. Got some steaks and some chicken and some... Anyway... So the idea is by Purim, specifically by Purim, when there's no supernatural miracle, not even a menorah, nothing, nothing's going on in terms of, oh, look at that, oh, look at fire and brimstone, nothing's going on there. Hello? Hold on one second, say hello to my neighbors.
Oh, it's the famous
Come
grill.
and visit us, there's plenty room here.
He said when nothing really is going on. What's going on, Josh? By the way, for those you don't know, check out Josh right now. He just signed in. Josh Aston is an amazing guy working for an amazing organization, which basically exposes illegal building of both the Arabs and the EU and other organizations who are building illegally in Israel to try to change the status quo here. Check it out. If you're not following, it's a man to follow. Anyway, I want my steaks medium rare. Nothing more than that, so give me a second. Let me flip these babies over. So Dafka on Purim, specifically on Purim, on that holiday, that nothing miraculous happened. In other words, there was no miracles, really no miracles. There was a political victory. When we could see God in that action, when we can say, okay, you know what? We could call this coincidence, but it's not. This is the hand of God. Now here's how it ties into everything. Okay? We know that when Bnei Israel, when the nation of Israel got out of Egypt, the whole world was terrified of us. It was like after the 6-day war, nobody wanted to touch us. They were terrified to fight us. Then one nation came up, Amalek. Amalek nation came up to fight Bnei Israel. And the pasuk says, Asher karcha baderech. Right? And so people say, they cooled you off, you were hot, no one was wanting to touch you, they cooled you off. But there's another explanation. Keri, from the word mikreh, from the word coincidence, right? They thought that the getting out of Egypt was one big coincidence. Oh, so what? The sea split. There was an earthquake. It must have split by coincidence, right? They took the actual hand of God, which was obvious to the whole world, and made it a coincidence. And so now here in Purim, when once again the descendants of Amalek, which was Haman Rasha, the descendant of Amalek, when that man once again he does a lottery. And he picks the date to destroy the Jewish people out of a lottery. The same coincidence kind of logical thinking without any God in the picture. Right? He made a lottery by chance. That same Amalek, we're fighting again. But this time, it was our job as the nation of Israel to say there is no coincidences. There's no such thing as big time of Teresh. Mordechai caught them 9 years ago. There's no coincidence that Achashverosh picked Esther. There's no coincidence that A to Z keeps moving up and up and up and up and up. Right? There's no such thing as a coincidence. And that is what it means that on Purim, Am Yisrael accepted the Torah by choice. In other words, there was no miracles. There was no, fire and brimstone and sparks. This was just us saying, yes, God exists in the world and the Torah is real. And there was no pressure. There was no, the wedding night, everyone's dancing and the flowers on the table and people are dressed up and everything's special. That's wonderful. Question is, what happens 50 years down the line in the morning when you both wake up, morning breath, nobody's got their hair combed, no makeup is on? Do you still have that same love? That's the question. And that's what it's talking about here with Purim. Har Sinai was great. It was a bang. It was amazing. Right? Amazing. Mitzrayim was amazing. Miracles right and left every 2 seconds. Purim comes along. Do you see God in Purim? Or are you missing it? And so I think that is the message of Purim. And therefore, the masks go on our face. Because what we are, our skin and bone, that's not the main thing. We are tools. What we do with our body is the main issue, so we put the masks on. When you drink alcohol, right, it says that when wine goes in, secrets come out, or the source comes out, right? We're scared of peer pressure, doing the right thing, of acting as really observant. And when you drink that wine, you get rid of that fear, and you can actually have your soul, your neshama, come out and behave the way it's scared to behave because of peer pressure. And so we're saying specifically with mundane, worldly things, the most wine and meat and everything else, that is exactly how we are celebrating the holiday of Purim, specifically with the physicalities, with this world, that everything that we call in Purim is coincidence. That's how we're celebrating Purim. So that is the idea behind this crazy holiday, which is an awesome holiday. I will try to be a little bit live on Purim, although I don't know if I want to do that for my own sake, but we'll see about that. In any case, that's it, people. What I am going to ask you, I said it a couple of days ago, and I'm going to say it again. We have an amazing opportunity. Standing Together has been invited to co-sponsor a huge meal for IDF soldiers in the Hebron area. I said the minimum was 700. We are already up to 1,200 soldiers that we're co-sponsoring for, and we are looking for people to join us and help us sponsor this meal for over 1,200 at the end, but right now it's on 1,200. So if you're interested, I forgot to paste it. Tova, what's going on? You came in a little bit late, Tova. You got to rewind and watch the whole thing. But for those who are on right now and you want to help with the meal that we're doing, you got to check out the website. I forgot, because I'm a nincompoop, I forgot to put this on before I started the video. But for those of you who still don't know, the website is stogether, www.s, like standing together.org. And on the left side, as soon as you go on that website, on the left side under the first picture, we have the Purim campaign. Okay? Drink to get rid of fear. Well, it's not drink to get rid of fear. It's not fear of I'm scared of the world. No. That's not what Judaism believes. You got to face that. It's drink to get rid of your own fears of behaving the way you're supposed to behave. It's taking off the hard shell that we all wear. Billy Joel says we wear a stranger, right? So it's taking off that stranger and allowing us to behave in a way that we're supposed to be behaving. So the link is right there, people. We have, it's literally, it was up to $5,000 when we started. It's around $7,000 to $9,000 now to cover the whole meal. So I'm talking to you guys. Hit that link and join us. And remember, yeah, Purim, we do get drunk and we do wear masks and everything else, but the message is clear once again. Then the message is, like I said before, and those who didn't hear, just signed in, welcome, but you got to listen to it from the beginning. The message is, Dafka, on the holiday of Purim, when 9 years went by and no miracle happened, that's where we found God. We found God in what others would call coincidences. And I will talk about Israel right now. We've been here for 68, 69 years now. In the new state of Israel, where the Jewish people came back to the land of Israel. And some people call this a coincidence, right? Even some people say it's not a good thing. The 6-Day War was a coincidence. We beat 6 Arab nations who outnumbered us 30-1. I say, oh, where was God? That's ridiculous. That's where you have to find God. Not just in the miracles, in the small everyday things in life. All right, people. I'm signing off. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom. And don't forget to hit that link. Share the video. Let's go. Share it out and hit that link. Chag Sameach to everyone. Happy Purim to everyone. And have an awesome weekend. Signing off from Efrat.